Leveling in World of Warcraft hasn't really been enjoyable for a long time. It's something that I've wanted to rush, skip, or cheese my way through somehow just so I can get to the real game at max level. But playing through the new expansion, I felt something I wasn't expecting. I didn't want to rush. I was enjoying the world again. Has Midnight been one of the better starts to a modern WoW expansion? Let's dive into it. Silvermoon City. We'll start with a big one, Silvermoon City. The original Silvermoon was one of my favourite cities in the entire game. I love the Blood Elf aesthetic, the music, the general vibe of the place. But it never truly felt like a Horde capital. It was beautiful but empty and disconnected from the rest of the game. In Midnight, that has completely changed. And wow, am I impressed with what Blizzard have done here. The city has been made bigger to make sure that it feels sprawling and immersive despite the existence of dragon riding. The colours are absolutely gorgeous, blending that vibrant red and gold Blood Elf style, but with deep blue undertones. It gives a feeling of a cascading darkness from the giant void portal in the sky, which in its battle against the Sunwell creates an absolutely stunning backdrop whenever you're spending time in Silvermoon. It's honestly blown me away just how intricate and beautiful the city is. Comparing it to Dornogal, the main city in the War Within, it feels so much warmer and cozier, and just somewhere that you really want to spend time and hang out. I can confidently say that I've not enjoyed a main player hub this much since Legion brought Dalaran back. I've only got one minor complaint with it, which is the music. I actually really like the music personally, but I just feel like it's too disconnected from the old Silvermoon music in TBC. The Horde-specific zone of the city does have music that is more akin to the original, and no doubt that's by design. But personally, I think the original music is so beautiful and iconic, and synonymous with Blood Elves, that I would have personally preferred all players to be able to experience it throughout the entire city. Eversong Woods. So Eversong Woods is yet another iconic and beloved zone from the Burning Crusade, and I'm so glad to see it returned in Midnight. It has, however, changed considerably, notably the lack of a dead scar, the lack of the Ghostlands, and the emergence of the Light Bloom, a hostile, almost parasitic overgrowth that's spreading across the region's fauna, a seemingly direct result of the reactivation of the Sunwell, which has caused an abundance of holy or light energy. These areas have substantially changed parts of Eversong Woods, replacing the beautiful autumnal theme with a chaotic, blindingly bright overgrowth. At first, I can't deny I felt this was a little bit jarring, and I feared that they may have ruined the Eversong Woods that I know and love. However, not only is there still plenty of the original style of Eversong throughout the zone, but we quickly learn that the Light Bloom is an integral story mechanism that ties all of the zones together, as our character and our allies recognize that we have a common enemy and a common cause. Not only this, but it also presents us with clear foreshadowing. The light is not simply the good guy, and the void is not simply the bad guy. Leaning too far onto either side can cause corruption, loss, and suffering. It presents players with a clear understanding that between the blatant good versus evil narrative, there is a middle ground, a grey area, and this is a subtle and nuanced approach that elevates the story. The music within these areas of Light Bloom is also, in my opinion, absolutely brilliant. It sounds disturbing, almost as if it's not really in time. It's chaotic, all over the place, and that's completely by design. It reflects the nature of the Light Bloom itself. It lacks order and it embodies chaos. The art and music within World of Warcraft honestly never ceases to amaze me. I can't deny part of me does miss the Ghostlands, as I really enjoyed that aesthetic and the dichotomy that it had with Eversong Woods, but overall, the revamp is a fantastic zone. Arendar. Possibly the most unique of all of the new zones, and likely the most visually striking too. Arendar is technically an underground zone, but due to a clever skybox and fantastic lighting, it doesn't feel claustrophobic or uncomfortable as some underground areas have in the past in World of Warcraft. It's a bioluminescent jungle that almost strikes me as a cross between Stranglethorn Vale and Zangarmarsh, combining nature and alien elements to create something really unique. The music in this zone is also a complete standout for me. Blizzard's ability to reflect and enhance the vibe and feel of a zone through music is incredible. It's a tribalistic yet magical feel to this music, and it matches the look and feel of the zone to perfection. If you never listen to WoW with game sounds, honestly, I'd encourage you to at least have a bit of time in each zone listening to the game audio. Despite these positives, I think Arendar was likely my least favourite of the new zones. And that's not to say I don't like it, because I actually think it's great. If anything, it speaks to how highly I think of the other zones. The reason Arendar didn't quite reach the same heights for me is twofold. Firstly, the verticality. It makes sense here. It's an underground, root-bound zone. It has a lot of verticality, it just makes sense. I'm just not a big fan of it. So many times you want to find an item like a treasure or a quest mob, and you realize it's either up or down or somewhere in the middle, and it can get a bit frustrating. As well as this, the quests, while they are quite good, they felt like they lacked weight. I didn't feel as much of a connection to the main characters here. The story just felt like it lacked a bit of fire that could have taken it to the next level. To Zul'aman then, and this zone is honestly just classic World of Warcraft in the best way possible. Once again, tying old and new, Blizzard have taken inspiration from the past and used that as the building blocks to build a fully fleshed out Zul'aman as a zone that makes sense and feels connected to this part of Azeroth. It's dark, tribal, and unapologetically screams of the troll thematic. Hints to the old story of Zul'aman are littered across the zone and its campaign. The Loa are an integral part of the story, and the zone's protagonist, Zul'jara, is the granddaughter of Zul'jin, with the story centering on her journey to redeem her grandfather's sins. The zone boasts some great weather effects. Torrential rain often rolls across the dark and brooding landscape, and areas of swamp reminiscent to Nazmir creates enough of a change that the zone doesn't feel like it gets boring or dull visually. Of all the zones, I feel like this one has a Chris Metzen touch to it. That's pure speculation on my part, but it's just classic Warcraft. A strong character fighting to redeem her family legacy, facing numerous trials and tribulations, gaining favour from gods and becoming a leader for her tribe. The quests blended humour and conflict expertly, and there's no doubt in my mind that we'll see more of Zul'aman, particularly this mysterious island to the right which is currently not accessible, in upcoming patches. The Void Storm. So this was without a doubt the zone that I expected to dislike. We've seen so much Void in recent times. We've only just had a Void-themed zone and a Void-themed raid in the last major patch of the previous expansion. So surely this would feel like just yet another purple zone and a chore to level through. Thankfully not. Blizzard were no doubt aware of this, and they made a clear effort to prevent this from being the case. Dark red colour tones swathe throughout the zone, almost creating a feeling of a desolate alien coral reef. It creates enough difference to the usual Void aesthetics that it doesn't feel like a Koresh 2.0. Yet again, some fantastic music elevates the zone. The story feels high stakes, aided by this being the last zone in the leveling and campaign experience, and some standout characters make this zone truly memorable. Particularly Decimus, a creature of the Void who sports a witty, almost sassy personality, constantly tormenting other main characters, talking in riddles, acting unpredictably, and providing some brilliant and memorable one-liners. He's a really charming character that I think will be pretty much universally loved by the player base. And again, I fully expect to see more of him as Midnight progresses. A nuanced storyline. So something else that I want to touch on came as a really positive surprise for me. Similarly to the use of the light bloom to portray the lack of a clear good versus evil, the central iconic lore characters Illyria, Terralion, and Arator are fighting their own internal battles in this war of light versus void. Terralion is seen consistently attempting to vindicate the light, whilst in the process allowing it to rule over his emotions and his mental clarity. This is something beautifully summed up by Illyria when she says to him during the campaign,
I am often reminded, mostly by people who serve the light, of the danger I represent. The void screams at me to do horrible things. I suppress it, because I could never bear to hurt Arendar. But you, your light-blind wrath struck him down. You gave yourself to the light, and our son was the casualty.
What happened at the Amani Pass was my failing, not the light's. I will not renounce it.
Do not lose yourself to it either. Arendar needs his father. I need my love. You must decide if you wield the light, or if it wields you.
And then we have Arendar reflecting the grey area between these two. He wields the light, yet he sees the conflict within his father and the corruption that the light is capable of. This approach achieves several things. Firstly, it allows us to build an empathy and attachment to Arendar. It also prompts us, the players, to ask questions. What would we do in this situation? Which of these approaches do I feel is correct? And it builds complexity, realism, and relatability to the characters and the story as a whole. I really hope Blizzard can keep going on this trajectory, because after so much xal'atath reflecting a typical power-hungry villain in recent times, the subtle and nuanced juxtaposition of light versus void, good and bad, and everything in between has felt incredibly refreshing. So, all in all then, varied, beautiful, and intricately crafted new zones. A well-paced campaign with plenty of lore building and a narrative designed to tie together all of the zones in a feeling of unity and purpose. A welcoming, warm, and cozy capital city, and a typically brilliant soundtrack and art style. This has all led to my initial experience of Midnight honestly being incredibly positive. Are some people getting max level in no time at all utilizing weird and wonderful mechanics? Absolutely. And if that's how you want to play, that is absolutely fair enough. But if, like me, you're looking for a genuinely enjoyable Warcraft experience in modern WoW, I can honestly recommend giving Midnight a go. Just forget the leveling add-on or the speedrunning guide. Grab a drink and some snacks, and enjoy the campaign and side quests. I enjoyed this far more than I expected to. It feels fresh whilst unmistakably Warcraft. It's not perfect, but honestly, it could be the best modern expansion we've had for many years.